Back when I was younger, I used to hang out in a vast field near a dense forest, far from the hustle and bustle of the city. It was our little sanctuary where my friends and I would gather to escape the problems of everyday life. One fateful night, around midnight, the tranquility of our usual spot was disrupted by a brewing storm, both in the sky and in our lives. One of my friends, let's call him Jake, had recently found himself entangled in a love triangle. A heated rivalry had developed between him and another guy who was dead set on settling the score with a fight. Somehow, word got around about our secret hangout, and the other guy, determined to confront Jake, rounded up about 10 of his friends to hunt him down. I, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, was inadvertently caught up in the whole ordeal. As we sat in the field, we suddenly spotted 4 cars approaching, headlights cutting through the darkness. They parked near the field, and about 10 guys emerged from the vehicles. I'm guessing they must have seen the faint glow of our phone screens, because the next thing we knew, they shone a massive industrial-grade flashlight in our direction. We could hear the anger in their voices as one of them shouted, "He's right of ******ing there." Without a moment's hesitation, we bolted into the forest, with nothing but the pitch-black night and the sound of our own panicked breaths as our companions. The rain began to pour down heavily, as if the heavens themselves were reflecting the chaos unfolding below. For an hour, we hid in the underbrush, our hearts pounding in our chests as we crept around the forest, doing our best to avoid our pursuers. The beams of their torches sliced through the trees like searchlights, their voices growing more and more frustrated as they failed to find us. There were times when they'd walk mere inches from our hiding spots, but they never saw us, thanks to the darkness and the fact that we were pressed face down in the bushes and mud. It felt like something straight out of a thriller movie, and it was absolutely terrifying. We finally made our escape, sneaking out of the forest and rushing home under the cover of darkness. I arrived home around 2 a.m., soaked to the bone and caked in mud. Thankfully, they never caught us. All of this heart-stopping drama, all because of a love triangle that I wasn't even involved in. To this day, that experience remains the scariest thing that has ever happened to me. It's a night I'll never forget, a testament to how quickly life can turn on a dime and thrust us into the most unimaginable of circumstances. When I was younger, my friends and I used to hang out in a field near some forests. We enjoyed the tranquility of nature and the excitement of exploring the vast, mysterious woods. Little did we know that our haven would soon become the stage for a chilling encounter. One night, around midnight, we gathered at our usual spot to unwind and share stories. As we were chatting, we noticed an eerie presence lurking in the shadows. At first, we dismissed it as a trick of the darkness, but our instincts told us something was off. As we were about to leave, we saw a tall, slender figure with unnaturally long limbs emerge from the woods. It was the Slender Man, the stuff of nightmares and urban legends. Terrified, we dropped our belongings and sprinted into the forest, guided only by the faint moonlight filtering through the dense foliage. The rain began to pour, soaking us to the bone and turning the ground beneath our feet into a muddy, treacherous terrain. We could feel the ominous presence of the Slender Man pursuing us relentlessly, never far behind. For over an hour, we hid in bushes and crawled through the undergrowth, trying to escape the clutches of the creature. The forest felt like a labyrinth, with the Slender Man's haunting silhouette appearing in the distance every time we thought we had evaded him. We could barely see each other, but the sound of our pounding hearts and labored breaths reminded us that we were in this together. At times, the Slender Man would come dangerously close, but our instincts and adrenaline propelled us to keep moving. We were face down in the bushes and mud, our bodies aching from exhaustion, but we refused to give up. Eventually, we managed to lose the Slender Man and found our way back to the edge of the forest. We stumbled home, drenched and covered in mud, around 2 a.m., grateful to have escaped the horrifying ordeal. We knew that our bond had been tested and strengthened by this harrowing experience. The encounter with the Slender Man remains the scariest thing that has ever happened to me. Our peaceful hangout spot by the forest will forever be tainted by the memory of that terrifying night. Yet we emerged stronger and more united, knowing that we could face the unknown together. I still shudder when I think about that ill-fated camping trip my friends and I embarked on in the summer of 2022. We were 3 inseparable buddies: Mark, Lily, and me, Tom, who had just graduated from high school. We decided to celebrate our newfound freedom by going on a weekend camping trip in the ominous and ancient woods that sprawled across the outskirts of our small town. We were fully aware of the frightening legends surrounding those woods. They were said to be haunted, cursed even. But we brushed it off as mere superstition and embraced the thrill of the unknown. Little did we know that the chilling tales would soon become our gruesome reality. It was a Friday afternoon when we set off for our adventure, armed with tents, sleeping bags, food supplies, and flashlights. The sun shone brightly, and we were in high spirits as we followed the worn path leading into the woods. We spent the first day hiking, enjoying the serenity of nature, and setting up camp near a clear stream. As darkness fell and we gathered around the campfire, we began sharing ghost stories, trying to scare each other. It was all fun and games until Mark suggested we explore the deeper parts of the woods where the most frightening legends originated. We knew it was a bad idea, but our curiosity and teenage bravado got the better of us. Armed with flashlights and an unshakable sense of adventure, we left the safety of our camp and ventured deeper into the woods. The full moon illuminated our way, casting eerie shadows on the ground as we treaded carefully. The further we went, the denser the woods became, and the more unsettling our surroundings felt. We could sense a sinister presence lurking, but we stubbornly pushed on. As we continued to walk, we suddenly felt the ground beneath us give way. The world seemed to spin as we plummeted into a massive, gaping hole hidden by the undergrowth. The fall was terrifying, and it felt like an eternity before we hit the cold, hard floor of the pit. We lay there, gasping for air, our bodies aching from the impact. Once we had caught our breath, we inspected ourselves for injuries. Thankfully, we were all relatively unscathed, save for a few cuts and bruises. Our flashlights had survived the fall too, so we took stock of our surroundings. We were trapped in a dark, damp hole, about 15 feet deep with steep, muddy walls. We couldn't climb out, and our panicked screams for help were swallowed by the dense woods above. The terror began to set in as we realized that nobody knew where we were, and we were completely alone in the abyss. We spent hours trying to find a way to escape, clawing at the walls and attempting to form a human pyramid, but all our efforts were in vain. Exhausted and terrified, we huddled together, hoping that the morning sun would bring with it a chance of rescue. But the night was far from over. The air grew colder, and we could hear the distant howls of wolves echoing through the woods. We tried to reassure ourselves that they were far away, that they couldn't reach us. But our reassurances fell flat when we heard the sound of leaves rustling above and the unmistakable growl of a wolf nearby. Before we knew it, a massive, snarling wolf leaped into the pit with us. Its eyes gleamed with a ferocious hunger, and we knew that we were its prey. Our minds raced with panic, but we knew that we had to fight for our lives. We grabbed whatever we could find, rocks, sticks, even our own fists, and we fought back against the monstrous creature. The wolf lunged at Mark first, its sharp teeth sinking into his arm. Mark screamed in pain, but managed to grab a rock and smash it into the wolf's head. Lily and I joined in, attacking the wolf with sticks, doing everything we could to protect our friend. The pit had become a battleground, filled with snarls, growls, and desperate cries for help. Our adrenaline-fueled fight seemed to last for hours, but in reality, it was probably only a few minutes. We managed to inflict enough damage on the wolf to subdue it, but not without paying a terrible price. Mark's arm was severely injured, and he was losing blood at an alarming rate. Lily and I tore strips from our clothes and wrapped them around his wound, trying to slow the bleeding. Now, not only were we trapped in the hole, but we were also injured and exhausted. We had survived the wolf attack, but our situation was growing more dire by the minute. We knew that Mark needed medical attention, and we needed to get out of the pit. The sky above us started to lighten as dawn approached. With renewed hope, we tried once again to escape our earthen prison. Despite our best efforts, the walls of the hole remained impossibly slippery and steep. The sun had risen, but our situation remained unchanged. As the hours turned into days, our hope dwindled. The lack of food and water took a toll on our bodies, and Mark's condition worsened. The infection from his wolf bite spread, leaving him feverish and weak. Lily and I held on to each other, tears streaming down our faces as we helplessly watched our friend suffer. On the third day, we heard distant voices and the sound of footsteps approaching. We screamed with all our remaining strength, but it seemed the voices were not coming any closer. The realization hit us. We were going to die in that hole, trapped and forgotten by the world above. Mark passed away that night, his body finally succumbing to the infection. Lily and I were heartbroken and consumed by an overwhelming sense of despair. We knew we couldn't last much longer. On the fourth day, our bodies weakened, and our minds grew delirious from hunger and dehydration. Our cries for help grew weaker, and we knew that our fate was sealed. We clung to each other, our final moments filled with sorrow and regret. And then, everything went black. I woke up in the hospital, and the doctors revealed to me that both of my friends had died in the hole. Apparently, a homeless man walking through the woods had found me and ran to a nearby home, who then called the police. I am thankful I made it out alive, but the fact I lost my two closest friends will forever haunt me. I miss them so much. The story of our tragic fate still haunts our small town. The woods are now strictly off limits, and people speak of the cursed hole that swallowed us whole. But I am here, trapped in the memories of that harrowing ordeal, my spirit forever bound to the abyss of terror where my friends and I met our untimely end. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more true scary stories.